Hello everybody, and welcome to the 9th video in the Safe Passage series. I'm recording this in my bedroom office where it must be about 90 degrees, but I can't turn on the air conditioner or it will interfere with the sound. So just bear with me, and I hope that you're comfortable wherever you are during this strange heat wave. But that is life in Canada, isn't it? It's spring one week and winter the next, and you get a whole slew of options. So this past week, I was very impressed with examples that I saw of people rising up as a team to come up with interesting initiatives that would raise funds for agencies and organizations and individuals that were struggling during this time of COVID-19. And one such example was the Rotaract Highlanders, a group of very inventive, enthusiastic, energetic young leaders who were successful in raising over $20,000 for Chapman House Residential Hospice. So that is terrific, and I bet you can look around your own community and see so many fine examples of communities pulling together to get us through this difficult time. Chapman House comes to us in Grey Bruce as a wonderful result of a company called Chapman's Ice Cream. They are the largest independent ice cream manufacturer in Canada, and as well as employing so many individuals, they also are tremendously philanthropic and community-oriented and have supported amazing causes. And I'm proud to say that I actually worked for Chapman's not that long ago for a few weeks as a seasonal employee. And I wasn't particularly good at the job, especially the packing component. I never really got that down very well. But I think that it's maybe because my fingers are kind of short. And so it didn't lend itself well to packing the boxes and grasping the wonderful treats that came sailing by you on the conveyor belt. So it's a really challenging position. I'm glad I experienced it, and I'm glad that Chapman's has no age discrimination policy. They actually value their older employees, and hats off to them for that. And I'm grateful to the employees there for taking a poet under their wings and letting me work long enough that I could get the funds I needed for travel. So I also think that knowing about Chapman's for years in this community and realizing what a vital force they are, it influenced my decision on a topic for a poem that I was asked to write in 2017 as Grey Highlands Poet Laureate. The Friends of the Museum had requested a poem for a major fundraiser that they had, and the guest speaker was Douglas Gibson, who is an internationally known former editor, publisher, and storyteller. And they had hoped that what I would put together would welcome him, but in a way that would let him know about the history of Grey Highlands. So I decided to use ice cream as a concept and tried to present the history as if we were maybe going to create a new flavor. So it's called Flavor Fusion. In the hills of Grey Highlands, there's paradise found, as cascading waterfalls echo the sound of indigenous footsteps that walked this land with visions and dreams we all understand. A place for family to live in peace, as brown eyes beheld those red autumn leaves that one day would signal to all the world the majestic symbol of our flag unfurled. Let's add maple flavoring to help us recall that First Nations people once welcomed us all. And what is the taste of freedom's sound? From the lips of those whose long journey found an underground railroad that led them right here to a land that offered a refuge from fear. Let's add in some caramel for the sweetness of grace, for the black pioneers as they found their place. We know it was not always kindness and light, but today our society honors their plight. What flavor might signify immigrants who tilled the fertile soil of these gray Highlands hills? Those pioneer settlers who bravely endured such arduous labor as their eager hearts stirred with plans to pass down to a new generation the values that fueled their clever creations, like sawmills and gristmills that helped them expand and develop their skills as they cleared the land. Let's add in some salt, for those farmers we say are the salt of the earth, as they are to this day. And today in Grey Highlands, we're a wonderful blend of industry, artists, services, and friends who've come from the cities with ideas to share, enriching us all with their own special flair. So let's drizzle chocolate to acknowledge the dreams that add truffles of pleasure to the Grey Highlands scene. And for every new culture that comes this way, may our hand be extended, and let every heart say that diversity is the key that unlocks the door to a future where everyone's hopes may soar. And just like white light holds the spectrum within, we'll add some vanilla, so everyone wins. And I think it is a win-win situation when communities come together to help one another. Here in Grey County, we've had wonderful examples that have raised the bar in how we take care of one another. And one such example was Agnes Campbell MacPhail, who became Canada's first female Member of Parliament in 1921. So you can imagine some of the challenges she faced, but she was so devoted to this community, and she left a tremendous legacy, which I have recorded in a poem, which I will share parts of that with you. And I'm going to be talking about her a little bit later in other videos, especially next week, because our family has a really interesting personal little connection to her. But I'll save that for next week, and I'll just share this with you now. When Agnes spoke. When Agnes spoke, people listened. For her voice was commanding and true, and she used it to champion causes, to accomplish everything she could do, to improve the conditions for farmers whose votes catapulted to fame an inspiring soul from Grey County to a leading role on Canada's stage. When Agnes spoke, people listened, as her voice rose upward and smashed those barriers to gender equality in society's ceiling of glass. Shards of the past that women today must remember with grateful applause for the lady from Grey whose vision helped pave new inroads in Canada's laws. On the national stage, many battles were waged, and her voice was not always heard, but a change was discerned when colleagues soon learned that Agnes stayed true to her words. She wasn't afraid to have ripples made, and with tenacity wouldn't let go of situations she saw that contained many flaws, and she challenged the old status quo. The conditions in prisons were just one example of her compassion for sites she deplored. No one could rehabilitate in such conditions of hate, and the squalor she could not ignore. In the League of Nations, she found a place for her passionate voice for peace. She recognized society's need for reform and defended all colors and creeds. And when hecklers berated her vision, or when opposing issues were raised, her humor, blended with a knife-sharp wit, was the trademark approach she engaged. She speaks to us still from Parliament Hill, where her legacy continues to shine. In benefits we might take for granted, but her signature is clearly enshrined. When seniors all cash their pension checks, Aggie's voice can be heard at the bank. So let's take a moment to recognize that we owe her a debt of thanks for her generous spirit, for her voice of reason, for defending our human rights, for speaking with kindness to all those oppressed by the struggles and hardships of life. Yet over the years, her voice seemed subdued in our rapidly changing world. But thanks to the efforts of sensitive people, we're remembering our Grey County girl, who rose to fame from a humble life, without wealth or advantage, beyond a pioneer family whose values and guidance shaped a character determined and strong. Now road signs exist, and a cairn's been erected with credit to Donna Mann, a seed planter whose work with committees has helped Grey County expand the value we place on heritage, our awareness that Agnes MacPhail must stay in the forefront forever, where all local heroes prevail. They give us hope and inspire us all to reach for the elusive star that guides our personal destiny and raises the excellence bar. With friends of the museum and friends of the library, and each of us doing our part, we can help ensure that Agnes endures in every Canadian heart. Musicians and artists are lending their skills, and others are finding a way, using technology too, in broadening our view of this remarkable lady from Grey. Future students will know that generations ago, Agnes rose to the top like cream, thanks to farmers who trusted a woman's voice to speak for their needs and their dreams. So let's all do our part to keep her story alive. Tell your grandchildren about Aggie's trust. And let's help where we can as a gift to the land that Agnes once walked here with us. Her voice is now silent, but if she could speak, from wherever her spirit now roams, perhaps she might say something like this to the folks from her former home. I fought for your rights, so your personal plight would be less stressful than our ancestors knew. Please take up the cause and ensure that our laws protect all Canadians, not just a few. If you do this for me, my spirit will be free, for you'll know that I tried my best to hand a future to you that will be glorious too, no matter the trials or the tests. So please speak for me as the years unfold, and use a voice that's commanding and true. Then people will listen, and will know that you stand behind everything you choose to do, to give to mankind, regardless of creed, the chance for a better life, to possess all the means to fulfill your dreams, for that was my one wish for you. And I would think, in this time of the pandemic, one of her wishes for us would be for our safety and for our continued involvement in enriching the lives of one another. So let's this week look around for examples where that can be found right within our own communities. And I hope you'll tune back in next week for some more stories and poems. Thank you for listening.